going, everybody? My name is Douglas Pitzer, and today we're here to talk about one of the most misunderstood industries right now that's emerging, cryptocurrency. Before we get started, I want to do some basic housekeeping and talk about what you're going to learn today. First thing to keep in mind, this is not financial advice. We are not telling you to invest in this cryptocurrency or that token. Instead, we just want to provide insight as well as educational background around this emerging new sector, I believe, of business. To start off, once again, my name is Douglas Pitzer. I have a master's degree from Virginia Tech as well as an undergrad degree from Norfolk State University. However, if we're going to talk about something such as cryptocurrency, NFTs, blockchain technology today, it's important that you understand we do have experience in this area. So we are not just telling you something that is just made up, okay? Today we're going to just touch on three very fundamental areas. Number one, we're going to talk about what exactly is cryptocurrency. Number two, we're going to talk about what is cryptocurrency used for and what is some of the most popular utilization of it today. And number three, the question that's been going on throughout the media and throughout just conversations I've been having with people. Is this cryptocurrency safe? Is it able to actually be used and benefit people, or what are the results? Before we can really get into this new age of technology, this new age of money, we have to talk about the evolution of money over time. So we're going to start off with, how did it begin? As you know, currency over time has always been some sort of a barter system. We started off with a scalable means of values, and over time, the method of transaction has changed. We can talk about the first method of transactions, which was the actual barter system. Something as simple as, I have a cow, you have a chicken, let's make an exchange. Then we started finding actual physical pieces of currency or value. We could talk about China, how they began using the cowrie shells for currency, or we could talk about when banknotes, also known as coins, first entered society around 100 BC. So as you can see, we've always had different forms of money as times have changed. We are now just stepping into this new age of new money. So let's jump into actually, where did cryptocurrency come from? Let's talk about the birth of cryptocurrency. Although cryptocurrency was around before 2008, 2008 was a pivotal time when people really began to jump into and take notice to cryptocurrency. The reason why, as you know, 2008, we suffered from the stock market / housing crash. At this time, many people who had their money invested in banks took a loss. Many people who had their money invested in investments also took a loss. So this led to people having a distrust of the banks. We had thousands of people who lost their homes, and we had more people that were really affected by this crash. So in 2008, emerged the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. This is known as possibly the person, the company, the organization. We really don't know, but this is the name that's associated with the creation of Bitcoin. Now, what is Bitcoin? When we really talk about it, the simplest translation or the simplest definition is just a peer-to-peer version of electronic cash, also known as a digital currency. One thing to keep in mind, the benefit of cryptocurrency is you have possession, you have ownership of your own money. But let's go into the actual definition of cryptocurrency, and we're going to break it down into parts. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which transactions are verified. Additionally, they have records that can be maintained by a decentralized system. Now, this method of being held by a decentralized system is because they use cryptography instead of some central authority such as a bank or some organization that has overall control. One of the reasons that cryptocurrency is being talked about so much is because people are starting to ask, what can I do with cryptocurrency that I cannot do with the dollar bill today? And so let's actually get into some of those benefits and some of those additional avenues that we have with cryptocurrency. As we know, it can be a medium of exchange directly between two people. It's a decentralized bank for savings. A lot of us have to go to Bank of America or these other major institutions to hold our money safely. Cryptocurrency is giving us another avenue. It's a way to invest in an initial company. This is known as an ICO. As you know, we have IPOs with stock. However, we're not able to initially invest in them until they go public. Cryptocurrency has switched this method. We're now able to invest in companies that we believe in initially, rather than waiting for it to go public. This is a huge thing for cryptocurrency. Another way that we are benefiting from cryptocurrency is called decentralized applications. That means these are applications that are controlled by the people, controlled by the masses. And naturally, one of the best benefits of cryptocurrency, through something we'll talk about later called NFTs, it allows you to securely hold your own intellectual property. These are major areas that are going to be revolutionary once the mainstream catches a hold of the things we can do with cryptocurrency. We talked about how cryptocurrency actually started, and we talked about what is cryptocurrency. But I always think it's important to really start at the beginning, talking about the first cryptocurrency that we knew. The first cryptocurrency is actually a popular name that many people know. It's called Bitcoin. You may have heard this before. Now, when we talk about cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, one thing to keep in mind is a ledger book. It's a way for you to record your transactions. It's a way for you to go back and visually identify what transactions took place on a public ledger. So there's no secrecy. There's no ways of people changing or going back and modifying transactions. This is giving a lot of power back to the people. The computer code that Bitcoin uses to keep everyone honest is also making account balances and transactions public. So once again, as we talked about it not being hidden, so this is on a small scale, and this is also on industrial scales. We're actually able to see what transactions are taking place. What was the actual first transaction that took place with Bitcoin? Believe it or not, it was an individual who wanted to buy some pizza. He bought 2 pizzas and he paid over 10,000 Bitcoins for this purchase on May 22nd, 2010. When we think about it today, that's insane. However, he was the individual that really started these transactions taking place in a verifiable method. However, prior to that transaction in a non-monetary value, Bitcoin was actually being used in universities, and it was a method of validating transactions. It was more so being used by clubs and also being used by organizations and schools. There was no idea of how big it was going to blow. Let's say you want to look into additional cryptocurrency beyond Bitcoin. The first thing we always suggest is to look at what's called the white paper. The white paper is what you turn to see what the background is, what the history is, and what the mission is of this cryptocurrency. I always tell people it is important you do your own research before you start making monetary transactions, because it's important to keep in mind there's investing and then there's gambling. Investing comes from research. Gambling is just guessing and just kind of playing the numbers. We want to make smart decisions about what we invest in. We do not want to gamble with our money. So that's why we always say, look at the white papers and make sure you understand the business, the organization behind the cryptocurrency token. When we talk about cryptocurrency and how it's exploded over time, it's important that we look at the timeline of how it's grown so rapidly, which has caused this Bitcoin mania, which is the term. When you think about February 2011, cryptocurrency Bitcoin had just surpassed $1. So one thing to keep in mind is we have not seen these type of gains from another financial instrument. This is an area that is going to be revolutionary, and it's important that we start researching and learning about it now. So how does it work? Without going into all the technical weeds and just all those areas, let's break it down into 2 sides. Let's talk about the steps for how does it work, and let's talk about the actual protocol, that quote unquote behind the scene. When we talk about what makes cryptocurrency so efficient, it's because it follows 3 steps. Number 1 is it ensures it has a peer-to-peer network, and it makes sure that there's no financial institution or there's no middleman. I am able to directly make transactions with yourself. Now, what makes this valid? It's called cryptography. That is the code, the way that other people are not able to see or authenticate what's taking place. And then number 3, we have what's called the consensus algorithm, which is just simply the rule that's needed for this cryptocurrency transaction to proceed, to take place. 3 simple steps, but it is very effective. Now, let's talk about the protocol of why is cryptocurrency so efficient. It's because it's on what's called a blockchain. Blockchains are decentralized ledgers that are difficult to tamper with. It's a database that's shared across thousands, millions of other computers. Now, each computer has an entire history of that database, and that way no one user is able to override the historical information. Blockchains are very, very revolutionary today. Let's say you wanted to start today using cryptocurrency. Is that possible? Thankfully, yes. You do not need to know all the technicalities to start trading. Thankfully, you would just need a cell phone or a computer, something that has access to the internet, and through applications or through their marketplace, you can make transactions with cryptocurrency. If you're able to use Cash App, if you're able to use PayPal, if you're using Amazon and buying and selling items, you are using digital currency. So you are able to use cryptocurrency, which is another form of digital currency. So before we jump into it, let's talk about what's called the crypto winter. From January until today, we have been going through what's called the crypto winter. It's been associated with also the stock market crash and just many things that are going down at the moment. What we are telling people at this moment is now is the best time to begin researching and learning about cryptocurrency. As you know, with stocks and just all other financial instruments, what goes down goes up and it fluctuates. Right now, we're at a time to actually research, and you have time to pick which cryptocurrencies or businesses do you believe will be successful in the future. Remember, one investment is not supposed to make you rich. However, when you start investing, you build a habit. Look at the business, the organization behind the cryptocurrency before you listen to the masses. So that takes us to what's called tokenomics. Tokenomics is very briefly a study of understanding the ecosystem of how tokens get distributed and how they work in broader economics. So following the tokenomics of cryptocurrency will help you decide and use discernment on which ones are best for you. Now, we'll very briefly go over some of the areas of tokenomics that you should always ask yourself when you're looking at a form of cryptocurrency. Number one, proof of importance. Simply ask yourself, does this cryptocurrency seem important, or does it seem like something that will not be around for a long time? Second, proof of work. Is there a consensus algorithm? Is there a mathematical rule that is required for transactions to take place? If this cryptocurrency or that cryptocurrency does not have a proof of work or some sort of proof of consensus, that is a code red. Stay away. Number three, proof of activity. You should be able to look on marketplaces and see that a cryptocurrency is being bought and being sold. We should see activity daily with the cryptocurrencies that we're interested in investing in. Proof of stake. A lot of cryptocurrencies today will give you a reward or give you some sort of benefit for believing or investing in the ICO initially. And then last that we have to pay attention to is what's called punishment and rewards. This simply means if somebody tries to trick the system, will they be punished? If somebody is doing the right thing on the system, will they be rewarded? These are some of the fundamental things that we need to pay attention to when we're asking ourselves, is this a cryptocurrency that I am interested in investing in? What is the best way to figure out this information? Once again, we refer back to the white papers. The questions that we just talked about with tokenomics can all be answered on white papers. If the white paper does not have an answer to one of those questions, once again, that's a red flag. That means the business plan behind this cryptocurrency possibly isn't finished. Maybe it's not developed, or maybe they're still working on some things. But it's important that you have the answers to these questions before you decide to invest in one of these cryptocurrencies. Or once again, you may be gambling. Here we have an example of what's called CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is a marketplace where you can buy and sell cryptocurrency. You can also see the tag that actually says white paper. As long as you click on that, that's when it pulls up all the information about this cryptocurrency. The one that we're currently looking at is a cryptocurrency known as Solana. If you don't know about Solana, I would suggest going to the white paper and then answering those questions that we talked about, the tokenomics. Now, let's lead towards what's known as the second cryptocurrency. This is actually what started the revolutionary era. We have what's called Ethereum. Ethereum is also known as Bitcoin 2.0. It was invented by an individual named Vitalik Buterin. He's from Russia. He was 19 years old. And the way that actually led towards the creation of Ethereum is he went to a conference to speak with the creators of Bitcoin. Well, some of the people that were running it. He had some additional ideas of how they could make the system better, and they turned him away. He took his ideas and he went and created his own cryptocurrency called Ethereum. Ethereum is similar to Bitcoin. It's a public, decentralized peer-to-peer network. Now, it's like Bitcoin, but it has some upgrades. Now, the cryptocurrency is also called Ether for the blockchain Ethereum. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Ethereum is able to do more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's programming works with just numbers. Ethereum is able to work with numbers, symbols, letters. So we're able to create code. We're able to create program on top of the cryptocurrency. This has given us a lot more areas and a lot more things that we're able to do with the blockchain platform. One of the most prevalent things that we've seen in media today is because of Ethereum, it led to the rise of what's known as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Now, when we talk about a non-fungible token, the first one we have to show is the one that was sold for $63 million. This was one of the first big NFT purchases that had ever happened on OpenSea. When we talk about NFTs, we're simply saying that it's a cryptocurrency that allows somebody to digitally maintain intellectual property of what they own. So if you have a digitized artwork, if you have digitized music, if you have digitized pictures, through an NFT, which is a cryptocurrency, you are able to maintain intellectual property. This is another area that is exploding and becoming revolutionary for artists, musicians, and other people in the fields of art. We also briefly want to talk about decentralized applications, which are able to take place through Ethereum. That means this application can be run by the masses. If a group votes needs to be made, it's not going to be made by the board. It's not going to be made by the politicians. It's going to be a general vote amongst everyone who has access to that application. This is literally giving power back to the people. But now, once again, let's just talk about that word decentralization. And why is cryptocurrency being decentralized so revolutionary? Reason being, decentralization means there's no central point of control. It means that all of the decisions come via consensus. And it means that the network is distributed over computers. There's no one central server. There's no one central owner. So this is once again giving power back to the people. So that's our summary of section 1. We've talked about blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, Ethereum, decentralization, and proof of work. Now, for this next section, we are going to talk about banks versus cryptocurrency. First, let's talk about a centralized bank. We're pretty knowledgeable about centralized banks. And then keep in mind, we like to say everyone has a bank account. Everyone has a savings account. But when we think about universally, globally, there are 2 billion people still today that do not have a bank account. Additionally, based off of the Federal Reserve's SEC database, there are still under 42% of households that do not have a bank account, a credit union, or at least $1,000 in savings. What this means is the centralized bank method is not a solution for everyone. However, decentralized banking is becoming that solution. When we say decentralized banking, you do not need no centralized bank account. If you have a phone, if you have a computer, you can get an application and you are able to create a bank account, a decentralized bank account that you have full access to, and it has a ledger to show proof of transactions, just like a bank. Decentralized banking is going to be the future for a lot of countries. So then let's talk about big bank versus little bank, David versus Goliath. What are some of those differences that you may see with the two? When we talk about big banks, when we talk about that centralized central authority, we have to keep in mind that banks work on a trust system. They are literally telling you to trust me with your money. I might lose your money. That's what happened in 2008 with the housing market. Banks today are giving crypto options for investments to their top investors only. So what does that tell you? If big banks are allowing their top investors to invest in cryptocurrency, they are forming hedge funds, they are forming ETFs, There are emerging methods for people to invest in cryptocurrency safely. But now let's talk about decentralized methods of investing with cryptocurrency. Only the wallet address is needed. So that means you don't need your identity. You don't need your social security card. You don't need a lot of that information that banks are requiring. Instead, you have something called KYC, Know Your Customer. They have their own method of verifying you are real. Once you go through that process, you have a wallet, a bank account set up. Another benefit, cryptocurrency in your wallet is completely in your control. As we know with centralized banks, they are able to freeze your money. They are able to take your money. They are able to do what they want with your money in their possession. It is the opposite with decentralized banking. Your money, your possession, your power. And last that I like to talk about is cryptocurrency is accessed with a private key. You have your own very powerful password that you create for cryptocurrency, and that will be your access. But keep in mind, it's your bank account. You are the bank. You are in full possession. So if you do lose that passphrase or that passcode, you may not be able to get back into your accounts. There are pros and cons to using centralized banking and using decentralized banking. It's up to you to do the research to determine which is better for you and possibly your family. I also like to talk about this little point when we talk about centralized banking versus decentralized banking. When we talk about centralized banking and transactions, depending on the amount of time, a transaction can take days for the process to be complete with centralized banking. And also, centralized banks can have the final authority to say, no, this transaction is not taking place. Maybe we don't trust it. Maybe we don't understand why is this transaction taking place. There's various reasons they can prevent or stop a transaction. Decentralized banking, not only is it going to happen in 10 to 15 minutes, but there's no one that's going to stop the transaction taking place because it's peer-to-peer. If you agree on it and the other individual agrees on it, then the transaction is going to take place. This is why on June 9th, 2021, El Salvador became the first country to make cryptocurrency their first legal tender because they wanted to give power back to the citizens. Now, let's talk about cryptocurrency wallets. What does a cryptocurrency wallet actually look like? Some of you may be thinking that a cryptocurrency wallet looks like this. Absolutely not. A cryptocurrency wallet actually looks like a USB. You plug it in and you unplug it just like a USB, and then it syncs to an application which will be known as your bank. So cryptocurrency wallets allow users to send and receive cryptocurrency by providing an internet address which tokens can be sent. So it's very convenient and safe. But how does cryptocurrency work? If I want to give you cryptocurrency, if you want to give some to me, what does that look like? Surprisingly, today cryptocurrencies have credit cards that are backed by Visa and MasterCard, the same as all other forms of digital currency. And the benefits of using these cryptocurrency for transactions is right now they are giving amazing returns on purchases. I'll give you an actual example. There's individuals right now that are paying their rent using certain forms of cryptocurrency. When you pay for the rent, you get 4% back. The 4% of money that they get back, they're using to pay for another bill. So cryptocurrency is paying for itself once people are understanding how to utilize it to do everyday things that they're already doing. We've talked about a lot of things today, and I know the kind of general question next may be, well, where do I begin? I like to tell people it's called an acronym SIRE. It means strategize, investigate, research, and execute. Right now, people are just looking at cryptocurrency as another form of stock. Every cryptocurrency is backed by a company. Every company has a purpose. Cryptocurrency is being used in everything from equity to e-commerce to leasing out cars, trucks, land to record keeping. There are many careers today that are developing because of cryptocurrency. So I would suggest people to look into your career and see how does that align with cryptocurrency. Look into some of your hobbies and see how is cryptocurrency starting to come together with these things. Because it's important to take advantage right now before these things become mainstream. So once again, strategize what you're interested in, investigate areas around it, research how you can be a part of it, and then the most important thing is execute your plan. And I do want to talk about the dangers of cryptocurrency. Keep in mind, as we've talked about it being in your possession, and as we've talked about how you are able to have so much control with cryptocurrency, of course we have hackers, of course we have scammers and other people that are starting to take advantage of some of these benefits and starting to take advantage of some individuals who are just getting into this area of investment. So you have to be careful for scammers. One of the most popular scams that took place earlier this year was known as the Squid Game scam. As you know, there was a popular show on TV called Squid Game. And I would say about maybe a couple weeks later, there was a popular cryptocurrency called Squid Games. A lot of people invested in the crypto without looking at the white paper or without doing the tokenomics. And it ended up being a rug pull, which means the main investors who started it pulled all of their money out and more, and a lot of people took major losses. We have to be careful what we invest in because there are over 5,000 cryptocurrencies today. Some are going to be the future. Majority are not going to really hold weight or take off. So it's up to you to determine what are the best ones to invest in. So for that, make sure that you join our Discord, and then you'll see the CryptoLand training roadmap that we have coming up. Once again, I'm your Director of Education, Douglas Pitzer. This is CryptoLand, presented by Magnacorp.